Okay, make sure that you have closed out index.html after saving it because we are done with that page for now prior to starting this. We are going to work on adding jQuery UI elements on page 278. Let's talk about it a little bit. A script is a set of instructions that perform certain actions in response to an event. Generally, something that the user does, such as clicking an object. Although it was once considered undesirable, JavaScript has now become the de facto standard for adding interactivity to web pages. JavaScript offers a number of advantages to web developers, including, but certainly not limited to, the following. It is supported by all current browsers in Macintosh, Windows, iOS, and Android operating systems. It does not require plugins to add interactivity to the web page. JavaScript scripts are interpreted and processed by the browser to produce the desired effect. It allows you to change a web page without reloading the actual HTML. It can also be used to change, remove, or add content to the page. It can also be used to change the CSS that is associated with various page elements. JavaScript can be embedded directly into HTML pages using the script tags. You can create the scripts in an external JavaScript file using its JS extension and link that file to any HTML page requiring the stored scripts. JavaScript enables complex interactive interface objects such as multi-level navigation menus, tabbed panel sets, and so on. The code that's required to create these common objects is fairly complex. However, they are so common, the necessary code already exists in many libraries, some of which are free, so you can download and use them in your own websites. Although JavaScript is not as confusing to learn as other kinds of scripting, it is still a language with its own syntax, vocabulary, and logic. Fortunately, Dreamweaver includes a number of tools for adding JavaScript interactivity into an HTML page without requiring you to write a single line of code. In this stage of the project, what you're going to do is use these tools to change various page element content based on user interactivity and present multiple categories of information on a single HTML page that loads only once in the browser window. This is kind of a unique little thing and maybe something that you might want to use later on in an actual website. It's quite interesting. So what we're going to do now is work on inserting a jQuery tabbed panel. I'm starting on page 278 for those of you who like to follow along. jQuery is a JavaScript library that aims to make it easier to add JavaScript to a web page. The library file stores a number of common tasks as methods, which can be called by the script in your page. This means you don't have to rewrite a common element with each time you want to implement the same common task. Keep in mind that this is an extremely oversimplification of jQuery. Yes, it is an oversimplification, but anyway, basically it's a little bit more than a definition. However, you don't really need to understand exactly how it works to define a jQuery UI element that are built in Dreamweaver. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that you have the info page up. So click on your info.html tag up and make sure that you are in design view. So click on design view, and in the design view what we are going to do, let's do split view. We are going to delete the text that's in our page content area. So go ahead and highlight that if you can. And if you're unable to, go over to the code side and highlight it, which is what I'm going to do, and hit backspace. And you'll see that the blinking cursor is inserted between the 2 points. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go up and click on jQuery mobile up at the top. Let me backspace that a second. What you want to click on is jQuery UI at the top. And then when you are in jQuery UI, you are going to click on jQuery tabs, and it will put the tab setup in there. As soon as you add the jQuery tab object, the related files bar shows a number of new linked files, 3 CSS files and 2 JavaScript library files, which are required for the object to work properly. All of the required JavaScripts are managed for you. You don't need to touch a single line of code for the object to function, but these all have to be uploaded to the website in order for it to work correctly. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to choose File and Save. So we're going to go up and do File, Save. You're going to see all the files that I just mentioned to you all in a message dialog box. It says read the information in the resulting message, which says this page uses an object or behavior that requires supporting files. The following files have been copied to your local site. You must upload them to your server in order for the object or the behavior to function correctly. So don't forget when you upload your HTML pages that these are going to have to be uploaded as well. Once I have read that and I see all of them, I just click OK. And you will see all sorts of very cool things that have now happened to the page. Okay, click away from the tabs object to deselect it. Okay, move the cursor back over the tab objects and click the blue widget. So I'm going to click the blue widget, and then I will see that all sorts of interesting things have happened. When the cursor moves over a non-selected tab object, the blue widget appears at the top of the object. You can click that widget to select the object on the page. If you try to click to the left side of the jQuery widget where it overlaps the page content, that identifies the editable template region. You will actually select the page content tab instead of the jQuery widget tab. You have to click the right side of the tabs widget where the two do not overlap to select the tabs object. This is a minor quirk in the software, but one which you should be aware of. So on one side I get one thing, and on the other side I get the other thing. Here's the tabs one, and it's a little tiny blue one. Page content is this one on the left. So make sure when you click, you have clicked on the little tiny one that says tabs 1. Now, when the tabs object is selection, you can use the properties panel to define specific attributes. Number one, you'll look down at the bottom, you'll see that we have an ID, we have panels, okay, we have something called active, we have something called event, okay, we have the height style, okay, disabled, collapsible, okay, hide and show, and orientation. So you should spend time reading about each and every one of those in the book. Okay, now we're on step 8. In the properties panel, choose content in the height style. So I'm going to use the drop down box and choose content. And it says to leave all the other options at their default values, and then let's do a Control S to save our work. Okay, this video will probably also end up being over 15 minutes, but I want to at least have 2 sessions done per video if at all possible. We are going to start on the Add tab content area on page 281 for those who like to follow along. Content in a jQuery tabs object is still HTML content to add content to the tabs object, you can simply type or paste in the relevant selection. Because JavaScript shows and hides specific categories of content based on user interaction, only one content area will appear at a time in the design pane. To add content to a hidden content area, first you need to make that area visible in the document window. So anyway, let's get started. So make sure that you are currently in design view. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select tab 1 in the text of the first tab. So we will click tab 1 and then type about to replace the default heading. So we're going to highlight that and call it about and type it in. And then we're going to click in the second tab and we're going to type exhibits. And then we're going to click in the third tab and highlight that one, and we're going to call this one contact. Okay, using the files panel. So let's go over to our files panel. Okay, we are going to open the content.html. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to select and copy the 3 paragraphs after the about heading. So we're going to start right down here, highlight those 3 and do a Control-C to copy. Then we're going to click back over on info and make the default content 1 area active and highlight that, and then just do a Control-V and paste in all 3 of the paragraphs that we just copied. Then we are going to go back to the content area and do the same thing for the exhibits. So we're going to go clear back down to the bottom and pull up and Control-C all of the exhibits information. Then go back to this, click on the exhibits one. On the exhibits tab, and no, it's still doing tab 1. Why am I not? Maybe I need to. You have to click on the I. Okay, and then Control-V and move that stuff into exhibit 2, into the exhibits one. Then I'm going to go back to the contact information area on the content one and another Control-C, back to info, click on the I, highlight content 3 and Control-V and paste that information in. So what I have done is done all 3 of those, and at this point I'm going to go up to the top and right click on info.html and save all. And that save all files and close the content.html because I am finished with that, and we will move on to the next exercise.